Everyone loves talking about what a great company NVIDIA is, and if you had invested in it 5 years ago, you'd be up 10x, but I'm not interested in it, and we'll go over why. So if you had invested in it 5 years ago and you're up 10x, congratulations. But just because you were up 10x in the past 5 years doesn't mean you'll go up 10x in the next 5 years or 10 years. So I've said before, whatever you're thinking of investing in, you should compare it to the default, which is investing in the S&P 500 index. And the S&P 500 index is usually trading at about a 15 or 16 times earnings, but now it's pretty pricey. It's trading at 30 times earnings, and NVIDIA is even higher at 53 times earnings. Now, this might be a fair price if you thought it had several more doubles in it, but I'm not that sure, and I'll tell you why. So up until recently, no company had crossed the $1 trillion threshold. This is 4.5 trillion. And it's possible that it can keep going up, but it's literally unprecedented. And let's talk about history. Here's a list of the top companies in the S&P 500 from every 5 years. One thing you'll note is they don't have a lot of staying power. Even if you go back only 20 years, General Electric, in 2005, it was at the top of the S&P 500, and it's only within the last year or so that it's passed the price that it was 20 years ago. ExxonMobil in 2005 was around here, let's say 55, so it took another 20 years just for it to double. And that's some of the top two. Citibank almost went bankrupt during the Great Financial Crisis. Bank of America almost went bankrupt during the Great Financial Crisis. AIG did go bankrupt during the Great Financial Crisis, and that's just in the top 10 in the last 20 years. So it is possible that this can have staying power for the next 10 or 20 years, but that's not a given. Also, yes, their chips are used for AI and crypto, and that's very popular right now, but they don't make the chips, they just design the chips. The chips are actually made by a company called Taiwan Semiconductor. And if somebody can design a chip better than NVIDIA, Taiwan Semiconductor will still make those. And NVIDIA has a patent on their chips, but there's no guarantee that somebody won't build a better chip. And also, NVIDIA has been investing in OpenAI. I can't remember how many billion they said, but this is something that you saw during the height of the dot-com bubble, where you would have a company that made routers, and they would invest in a company with quote fingers by giving them allegedly cash, and then that company would use that cash to buy the product of this company. And you can see the problem with that. Let's say I run a company that makes kitchen equipment, and I loan you money to start a restaurant, and you use that money to buy my kitchen equipment. And you don't have enough customers, so I start eating at your restaurant. So NVIDIA gave money to OpenAI. OpenAI will buy NVIDIA computer chips. In turn, NVIDIA is a customer of OpenAI, and you have this weird circular relationship. The problem with that is NVIDIA could have sold those chips to somebody else, but they didn't. They gave the chips to OpenAI, and the hope is that that stock that they got in return is worth more than they could have gotten for the chips, but that's not a guarantee. So as I said, I feel like I've seen this story before during the dot-com bubble, and I don't like how the movie ends, so I'm staying away from this one. Anyway, it is a popular stock, so I figured I would talk about it and why I invest in oddball companies that you haven't heard of, like Kraken Robotics, instead of names that everyone's talking about, like NVIDIA. But if you have different thoughts on this, let me know in the comments what you think. Did you have a good return on this? Do you think it'll do well in the future? If so, why? And if you have suggestions for other videos you want to see, just drop them in the comments. And if you want to support the channel, just check in the link. There's a link to Robinhood if you want to sign up with that and get a commission on that. Or if you want to support the site, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link, but don't feel like you have to. Anyway, like and subscribe so you'll see future videos like this. Have a great day, everyone.